Did you know that 26% of all adults will experience shoulder pain or injury at some point in their life? Pretty wild, right? Have you? Did you also know that virtually all these cases are 100% preventable and treatable without surgery? Pretty wild. Now, why am I telling you this, and why do I know this? Well, I'm Caleb. I'm a doctor of physical therapy, and I've been in practice now for 6.5 to 7 years. I've worked as a travel physical therapist all around the world. I specialize now in helping people get in the best shape of their life, forging an iron body and minimal equipment in minimal time. And minimal time using minimal equipment. This is my Instagram page. If you're not already following me, please go follow me. I try to put out content every day. I'm going to be releasing a lot more content on this channel here, so please like, subscribe, hit that bell if you like what you're seeing. I want to educate you and always help you become the best version of yourself. So, as we're getting into this, and I want to give you as much value as possible so not waste any of your time, because time is money, and we don't get it back. We have 3 concepts we want to learn and optimize throughout this lecture here. I'm going to teach you all about the shoulder. First one is awareness, okay? I'm going to walk you through lots of important good stuff here inside the shoulder joint. And more specifically, postural imbalance and anatomy, and hyper versus hypomobility. We have 2 more comments, so stay tuned. First, we're going to look at this chart here. And this is what's called upper cross syndrome. It's like the root source for almost all shoulder complications, barring some kind of crazy injury or if you fell off something or something like that. For our normal people who are exercising, non-professional athletes, fell off a roof and caught yourself with your arm, typically this is just going to be the source of your problems, is our posture. So what this is going to look like is we're going to have tight muscles here in our pec muscles, and then we're going to have tight muscles here in our upper trapezius muscles. Okay. The flip side of that, we're going to have very weak lower trapezius, middle trapezius, infraspinatus, and rhomboids, which are these guys here. Low, infraspinatus, rhomboids up underneath. And then on the front side, we're going to have very long and weak deep cervical neck flexor muscles right up in here, all these guys. What that's going to do is put us in this kind of posture, which we see everywhere. We also we don't look confident when we're in this posture. So it's stuff that we want to improve. And if we can fix this and become aware, that is a huge, huge step to getting rid of headaches, getting rid of neck pain, getting rid of shoulder pain, etc. So much of that will improve from this not happening. So hyper versus hypomobility. Your shoulder, typically, you're going to have too much range of motion or too little range of motion. Hyper is too much, hypo is too little. What's most commonly occurring, well, it's honestly split between people, but whenever we have hypomobility at our shoulder joint, typically we're going to be seeing a lot of damage right here in this little window. Now, if you see how there's this gap here between some of the bones of our shoulder, this is going to be at the acromion process and our scapula. This is the spine of the scapula. This is a little hole where something important runs through it. Now, can you guess what runs through it? It is one of the muscles of our rotator cuff, the supraspinatus. Very, very common site of degradation. Whenever things aren't going wrong in this area with over 19 muscles attaching to the shoulder, this gets the brunt of everything. Over time, this will slowly start to wear down. It starts with something called shoulder impingement syndrome and later progresses to a rotator cuff tear, a partial thickness tear, into a full thickness tear. Now, a problem is that surgeries will go in and correct this. They'll fix this one specific spot, but we don't fix everything else around it, which is what I'm going to teach you today. So that's why we're really here. And oftentimes, as long as we're not too far down the rabbit hole of having a complete tear where this person cannot do any rotation at all, it can be fixed on its own naturally if we do it right. So, how do we do this? We look at our coordination and strength. Now, I don't just mean how much weight you can move, I mean how well your scapula moves, and then how strong we are with our scapular stabilizers. These muscles are going to be your serratus anterior, middle, and lower trapezius. So isolate these here. This is the serratus anterior. It goes up underneath our shoulder blade. Okay? If we look at others that are important, they're going to be our middle and lower trapezius, which they're going to be these guys here. Lower trap, the middle trap. These essentially together are going to help control what's going on at our shoulder blade. And why is that important? Why am I telling you this? So when we go into shoulder flexion, we'll just pick a muscle here and watch it. When we go and raise our arm, let me adjust some things here to give you a better view. Fade off. You can see the shoulder blade is actually, my eyes are looking weird. You can see the shoulder blade is actually rotating with the body. Okay? It's not just staying complacent. We do this thing as we bring our arm up overhead, where we have scapular upward rotation. Okay? That assists with this little glide you see inside the joint here, inside the shoulder, if you're able to see that. We have a little bit of ball rotating on what looks like a golf tee. But as this is going up and down, the shoulder blade is going with it. Okay? And this doesn't just happen magically. It's muscles like the serratus anterior here that I was showing you earlier that contract and help it do that. So whenever we don't have this motion going on, whenever this is not working out a hunky-dory, which typically it doesn't happen with a lot of people, we again will get a lot of that degradation. Typically when that happens, we're going to get a lot of degradation up in this little window here I was mentioning earlier. And there's also a lot of nerves and stuff that go in through here. There's also some bursa sags, lots of stuff that gets caught up in here and really just doesn't have a good time. So that's why we want to look at the coordination of our shoulder blade and make sure we are able to move it effectively. And we also want to have stabilization in the shoulder blade as well. So a lot of times whenever we're lifting objects, if we're lifting it with poor mechanics, i.e. our arm is out to the side and we're not keeping our elbow in tight, and we're not having our shoulder blade engaged, we're going to be using our deltoid muscle predominantly all the time. Now when that happens, that is going to throw our scapular mechanics off as well, even more. And it's also going to put us at risk for even more pinching going on in the shoulder. We don't want that. Think of it as we're using this big muscle here, but if we're only using it, virtually we're never using all these little muscles. And the little muscles are the ones that really do a lot of the work to keep our shoulder joint healthy over time. But rotator cuff injuries are so freaking common. I got really good at working on shoulders with my hands throughout my career as a physical therapist. But yeah, so that's the stuff we need to look out for. So if we're hypermobile, that means we have too much motion going on, which happens if someone has a lot of subluxations or dislocations or things of that sort. Typically, we're a little bit younger in life, this would be the case. Not always. But typically that comes from not having enough strength in all these little muscles here. So what do we do to fix that? Well, all the stuff I'm telling you about, the coordination, working all the little muscles. And also we want to do what's called closed chain exercise. We want to pair that with open chain exercise. And if you don't know the difference between these two, I'm going to show you right now. So a closed chain exercise is going to be demonstrated as something like this, a push-up. Very simple. Whenever I'm doing a push-up, my hands are going to be fixed. Give it a second to load. My hands are going to be fixed. My body is going to be moving. Okay? That is closed chain, meaning our body is moving on a distal bar. So opposite of that, if I was doing a pull-up, this would be vertical. This is horizontal pushing. If I was doing a pull-up, my hands would be fixed. My body's moving up and down. That is closed chain. Opposite motion is going to be open chain. We're doing a barbell press. In this case, the body is stationary and our hands are moving. Distal part is now moving on the proximal part. This is going to be open chain. A lot of people do this exercise. Not as many people do the push-up. I'll go on a limb to say. So again, why am I telling you this? Because whenever we're doing more closed chain exercises, one, we're getting so much more bang for our buck. We're getting a lot of core activity going on, but we're also getting all these stabilizing muscles working significantly more than if we're doing a barbell or dumbbell press or something in open chain. Now, when we do this with kettlebells, we applied lots of different planes of motion at the same time as we're moving through functional patterns. So we do get a lot more stabilization going on. I like to pair that with closed chain exercises in my content, my own programming for my own clients, and my own workouts as well. But if we're hypermobile, that's what we want to focus on, is more closed chain activity, because we're going to get more stabilization. Now, if we are hypomobile, then typically we want to look at our capsular mobility. That means we do not have enough range of motion. Meaning if I go to raise my arm over my head, I'm probably going to start compensating for my lower back or some other direction to make it look like I'm getting my arm overhead, but I'm actually not. So in this event, what we don't want to do is just start stretching. We don't want to just start working on certain muscles here. While that may give us some relief, typically that's going to just be spinning our wheels in the mud, and we're always going to come back to the same problem. What we want to do is go down to the actual shoulder capsule. Okay, there is going to be the source of our problems. If we get that part to stretch out around the actual shoulder joint, everything else is going to loosen up more over time. So the shoulder capsule looks like here. It's going to be this fibrous tissue that goes around the shoulder. As we stretch this, or if we don't have range of motion for a certain amount of time, like we're not lifting our arm up all the way over our head, which some of us don't do typically day to day, we start to lose that range of motion. It's like almost like a use it or lose it kind of a deal. So as we start going up there, if we're not getting it, we're going to compensate in different places. But if we don't work to get that range of motion back at the shoulder capsule and then learn how to control through that range of motion, then essentially we're wasting our time. We're just stretching stuff around, not really getting down to the root of the problem. Versus when we stretch this and create more range of motion here, all the other muscles will start to loosen up as well. Now at that point, what we want to do, once we do have that new available range of motion, is train our body of how to work in that range of motion so that we have that stabilization, we have that control. And typically that's going to be through exercises with the kettlebell coupled with closed chain exercise. We can do this at max range of motion, i.e. in a handstand position if we have that ability, or we can do it in a pike modified handstand just up against the wall and full shoulder flexion. So that is a quick little rundown of shoulder mobility and what things that you should look for to keep yourself out of pain, healthy, and be able to not have to get surgeries all the time. So if you like this and found this valuable and useful, I want you to comment below and just let me know anything, say exercises, say thanks, whatever you want to say, and I will create some specific exercise video demonstrations for these concepts I'm trying to illustrate to you to give you a better idea of how to do these. Also, if you like this, please again, like and subscribe to my channel. Go follow me on Instagram. Shoot me a message if you have any specific problems. I'd love to help you out. This is stuff I'm passionate about and stuff I've gotten pretty good at over the years. So I look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks for watching.